Finished number 3 in the conference. I almost went.
Without a doubt. Oklahoma, that was definitely shocking. I think you got to go Kansas State probably after TCU. Just for them to win this conference, I think that pretty much shocked everybody. The midseason, not just the preseason predictions, but probably just the midseason prediction you would make about this team. So Kansas State was definitely a breakthrough team down the stretch. But for most disappointing, you already said Oklahoma basically. I got to go Texas too because because Oklahoma was so bad. It's like Oklahoma's had a stranglehold on this conference for a decade or so, almost a decade. And for Texas to be back like this year 2 of Sarkisian and they were a better team, for you to not be able to take a true step forward, like it is a step forward because what did they go 5-7 last year or 6-6? So it is a step forward, but it feels like kind of a squandered opportunity for Texas.
I can't go that far. You got Arch Manning on the way. Like Quinn Ewers didn't have a great year and he was banged up. I think if you have a healthy Quinn Ewers, you beat Bama, and that probably changes how you look at this season a little bit too. I think being right there for the Big 12 title game, like if TCU doesn't have the kind of season that they had, like I don't know. I think this is I think actually Steve Sarkisian needed this kind of year because the defense looked different. Like the defense kept Texas in that game against TCU, where the defense we were waiting on Texas to kind of be that soft defense where like it's never really made sense to me because like whether you got in Charlie Strong, whoever, Todd Orlando, it didn't matter. They just were soft defensively and they had 5-star and 4-star talent all over the place. They just never had that strong defensive identity that they should because of the amount of talent they had. And this year, bring in, something Piatkowski, the old UW coordinator with Sarkisian back in the day. He's installed a level of toughness that, like, I believe in Texas a lot more than I have in the previous administration. So I think they're moving in the right direction. You got Arch on the way. Quinn, I think, will be better in year 2 in this scheme. And Bijan was a superstar all year long. He was great. Now, I'm not really worried. They lost their number 1 target, Isaiah Nair, for people who forgot, who Tennessee thought they were going to grab in the portal from Wyoming. And he changed last minute and ended up at Texas, but he tore his ACL in, I think, the spring game for Texas. So they didn't have him, and he was going to be a big name. So they'll have him back, I think. I don't know. I'm not really worried about Texas. I think they're moving in the right direction. So I don't have them as disappointing for me. I think they should go into next year for me as the favorites in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily an indictment moving forward, but I think it was still kind of a disappointing year. But with how you played out in Alabama, like week 2, you got to think if you're going to lose by 1 point to Alabama, like, we got to be better than anyone in the Big 12, right? Like, so do you still end up losing 3 games in the conference? I think it's still on the disappointing side, but you're right. The arrow was still pointed up for the Longhorns.
Can I say who I was actually the most disappointed in?
Yeah.
It's West Virginia. Like, jobs in the line. You make a last-ditch effort to bring in Graham Harrell. You run the air raid to get back to your roots. JT Daniels comes in, who is now in the portal once again and has like 2 years of eligibility left somehow. That man is going to play at every university possible. We respect it here on this pod, bouncing around. He's going to find it. So.
Needs to at least go, where's he going to go? It needs to at least be ACC or Big Ten, right? That's where he hasn't been yet. So,
yes.
Yeah, let's get this guy all over the map.
Next NC State quarterback. I don't know.
There you go.
For me, this is one of the dumber things teams and universities do, right? And I don't know if you feel the same. If he's not the guy, he's not the guy. I hate when teams are like, well, he won his final 2 games, so we're sticking with him. It's like, you either believe in this coach or you don't. If you are basing your hiring and firing decisions based on how they did against Texas Tech to end the year versus the whole body of work and where the program's going, you're doing it wrong. Like, you either believe Neil Brown's the right guy or you don't. The final 2 games of the season should not have saved his job if you were thinking about firing him for the majority of this year. That makes no sense to me. So bringing him back, I think, is really weird and a mistake because they need to jumpstart this program. They have a new AD coming in. Like, it's not going to work. The Neil Brown stuff's not going to work in Morgantown. Just rip the Band-Aid off. I think it was more just like, what are we doing with West Virginia? They're just not moving in the right direction. They've tried every kind of offense under the sun, bringing in high-profile quarterbacks, and just did not work. They were the worst team in the Big 12 this year outside of Iowa State. So, no. West Virginia was actually my most disappointing team. And bringing it back. Bringing Neil Brown back is just, what are we doing?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Who's your player of the year in the conference?